Well, hello and welcome to Ownin the Evening. This is the Owndog alongside Alma.
Hello. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Well, good morning. That kind of throws us as we're recording this episode of Ownin the Evening in the morning. But I wasn't going to tell you that. Alma did.
Do you want to start again?
No. No, we're doing it live. No, we could start again or we could leave it in. I don't care. Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything about being in the morning.
Oh, yeah. It's just normal for me to start my mornings off with good mornings.
It's fair, as it should be. It's a good way to start your mornings off. Good morning. So either way, regardless of when this is recorded or when you're listening to it, we hope you're making a great day. Hope you're ready to have a great show because we're ready to make one.
Yes, we are.
So, as we get started, we're fresh in the day today, which is different as we normally record in the evening. This is true. And you mentioned before we came on that looking at the topics for this show was a little different with the perspective of a brand new day as opposed to having the day behind us when we record. You know, batteries recharged versus needing recharged sort of thing. With that said, the topic is muddled mindedness. Now, we're fresh in the day, Alma, so your mind is likely not, well, I don't know. Is your mind muddled right now, Alma?
No, it's really not. I got sleep. I got a little bit of extra sleep in the morning before the girls went off to school, and I'm awake and fresh in the day and feeling good. So the idea of a muddled mind, I think that's more a state of mind that comes in the middle to end of the day when you've already got the flow going and you're starting to wear out of energy and you still have things you got to conquer and your mind is just not where you need it to be present with the things you need to be doing.
Do you find that is that something that affects you only at the end of the day? Is it at the end of every day? Or do you find that your mindfulness or your mindedness gets muddled during, a mid-afternoon?
Yeah, it can come and go at any time because it's more a function of what's going on around you and what you're dealing with. So you could wake up feeling muddled. I know I do. I have those days where I just feel off and overwhelmed and stressed, even though I just started the day. So it could come at any time of the day. I just think the more sleepy or more tired that you get, the more likely your brain is to feel muddled. And things like stress and anxiety, those wear your mind out, even if you wake up fresh from sleep.
Okay. Would you say that this is a byproduct or could be a byproduct or symptom of your bipolar?
Yes.
The mania?
Yeah, it could very well be. They call them mixed episodes where you could be high, you could be low, you could be in the middle like baseline and feeling uncomfortable and just not yourself. With the way the mood swings go. And so a mixed episode brings in all the elements of where my mood swings can take me and put them inside me at once. And that could lead to a muddled mind.
Okay. Well, you know how I normally run this process. I got to ask, do you have any best practices that you can share that kind of help you work through those moments and get back to an unmuddled state?
The best thing I have is sleep. It's what the body needs: rest, relaxation, recuperation, like to unwind from the things that have clouded your mind from thinking clearly. So for me, that's sleep, which almost always creates a blank slate to start from when I wake up, as long as I get the enough sleep that I need, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But I think I lost my train of thought.
Maybe it's still boarding at the station.
Yeah.
So how do you put yourself together? How do you keep yourself stable? That was your question. I'll pose it back to you.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm learning and growing with and trying to figure out as I go. Like sometimes it's just sheer, you got to get through it. There's no special trick. I mean, I practice mindfulness, which is the appreciation of the moment for what it is. And even in a muddled mind moment, there are things to appreciate. So I'm doing my best to lift the moment to be better than what it is by itself. So I guess that's my tip for when you're feeling that way. Help find the good in the moment that's going to lift you to feel better so you can get through your moments just a little bit easier.
Man, we've talked about this so many times. For it to come up again doesn't surprise me, but team, it is good advice. Not every day is a good day, but there is good in every day. And so if you tune your antennas, you focus your receptors to find those good moments in your day, well, you've done a great service to yourself and helped yourself take steps towards just making better days. I say all the time, to make a great day, that comes from my mom. Take the passivity out of it, not have a good day. Don't wait for it to happen. Go out and make it great. And if you're looking for the great in your day, if you're looking for the good moments in your day, it's going to help you make a better day. And that will in turn help you make somebody else's day better as well, which is what it's all about, isn't it, Alma?
Yes, it is. It's truly all about making everybody's day great as best you can. Yours and those you cross paths with.
Spreading positivity, spreading love, and hopefully you can go out there and be a positive source of energy that's picking other people up. And if you can't, hopefully somebody's out there being a positive source of energy to pick you up. Because if we're helping one another, that's how we'll change the world.
Yep. And, that kind of leads us into the next topic, which is helping others helps us.
Oh, the Owndog can do a segue.
Oh, yes, he can.
But helping others does help us, Alma, as you've been seeing, in real time in your days with our neighbor that you've kind of developed a friendship now with. And there's been mutual benefits to that relationship beyond just friendship. She's very kind and generous and helps us navigate the trip to school for one of our daughters. And, you've been trying to share food and recipes and your time and sagely advice and just the wonderfulness that is you.
Aww.
And so it's been helping others from both sides of it. But at the same time, as you said, in helping others, you're both really helping yourself because you're gleaning something out of it as well.
You said that so wonderfully. Like I'm in awe. I like to hear because that's my experience coming from your perspective. And you said it so well. And I liked what I heard.
Well, thank you. I'm here all week.
But yeah, I am getting a mutually beneficial sharing of energy with this new friendship. I help her with the things that she's struggling with as much as I can, and then she gives to us in the way she can. And so it was really nice. I brought leftovers from our dinner that I cooked last night over to their house, and the husband had just gotten home from a long day at work. The house was messy, and the grandma was there, because she had a long day with my friend trying to do something with her to get something accomplished, and it had been a long, rough day. So I brought food over, and the mom told me how happy my friend has been in the weeks that we've known each other, how much brighter she's been and just doing better. And I thought that was a really wonderful thing to get to hear from a mom telling another mom, hey, my daughter's happy. Like,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
That's a very awesome compliment. I don't think that you could have asked for a better compliment because, as you said, that's a parent observing a change in their child and attributing it to your positive influence. That's what
Right?
it's all about. That's why you're out there being you. And as we've talked about making a difference and all of those things that you want so desperately, my dear, you are making a difference. You're making a difference to other people every single day. And this is not even to speak of the difference you make in my life, but you're out there, you're making a difference, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much. You being proud of me just melts my heart and just puts a big smile on my face because you're everything. And to have your positive perception of me means the world.
Well, obviously, I think highly of you. We've been in this shindig here for 20 plus years. I must kind of like you,
Just
a
a
little
little
bit,
bit.
smidgen. So it's been interesting too from my side to see your demeanor now, having a friend or person that you communicate with almost daily. It's been a welcome thing for me to see because I've enjoyed seeing you be happy and flourish, and you have. It has been, it's been pleasant to see you get to enjoy some social interactions because that's something that has been, for us, COVID and lack of transportation, social interactions are something that we don't get a ton of here outside of our bubble. And for you to be able to find someone close and somebody that you have an affinity for and develop a friendship, that's pretty awesome.
I agree. I'm so thankful for the friendship and for the time together and just the mutual blessing of how happy we both are getting to build this friendship.
Right? That's what it's all about. Give and take. Helping others helps us. So that, again, is really what it's all about. And so, Alma, congratulations and kudos to you for going out and making a difference in the world. And again, this is a very kind neighbor that we're talking about, team. We've already talked about her on the show, but she's the one who we first met via her interaction with our youngest daughter as she was out there skating. Our daughter was skating roller skates, and our neighbor came over and offered some equipment to our daughter, free, no strings attached. And this is where our newfound friendship was born, was from that first interaction from our neighbor who suffers, I believe, from some forms of social anxiety, being able to take that big step and come over and talk to the neighbors and offer some help and equipment and tips and advice. And the relationship just kind of took off from there.
It really did. It's a fun friendship fairy tale.
That's right. And plus, she does roller derby. How sweet is that?
Right? Yeah.
If you don't know what roller derby is, team, go look it up. Basically, you skate around in a circle and try to body check other people for points. It's a whole thing.
It's a thing.
When I was a kid, there was a show called Roller Games, and it was almost kind of like professional wrestling and American Gladiators and roller derby all rolled into one. Like, there were characters, and I think they were playing roles. They each team had a manager. It was very over the top.
As so many things from our childhood usually are.
Well, that's just how it went. I think over the top things sell to children. But to be fair now, I'll say this, that roller derby show was on, I think it was called Roller Games, and that show was on late at night. So I don't know that they were selling to children or not, but it was.
You gobbled it
but
up.
I was a late night kid. Like, that's when American Gladiators was on in late night. So I had to stay up, man. Saturday night was American Gladiator night.
That's funny. And now, even this many years later, you still watch American Gladiators.
Well, I did. I pretty much watched them all now, burned through all the episodes.
And moved on to UK Gladiators.
That's right. It's a bigger production over there. We're not going to get into Gladiator talk. This is not the Gladiator podcast. I think they do have one, by the way. But, yeah. The UK one, I think I have landed, I like better than the American version.
I can understand that. It's the demeanor of the contestants and the gladiators themselves. It's totally different than the American version.
Well, no, it's in a bigger arena. Evidently, I found out while watching those episodes that was like the biggest show on television in Britain or England at the time. So it was like their big show. So that it got more money than the American version did. They had a bigger arena where they conducted the events and all sorts of stuff. So it's just different.
And I like the difference.
I think I appreciated it more myself. But I digress. Like I said, this is not the American Gladiators podcast. It could be. Let us know in the comments if you want to hear more Gladiator talk.
Gladiator talk. Because there's so much to say.
So, I could talk for a while about Gladiators.
Okay.
But we won't do it here. It's a different show.
Do it.
Chasing Psychosis for Spiritual Gain, Alma. That is a topic that you kind of sent over, and I've read the notes here, but I'm going to let you go ahead and kind of get into it, because this is about you and kind of some of your history going through the psychosis and the break. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about Chasing Psychosis for Spiritual Gain?
You know, I am somebody that has kind of an addictive personality. And when I find something that's good, I really go hard at it until I take it to an almost ungood place. And in finding myself psychotic, having psychosis, I felt goodness in this diagnosis. Like, it made me feel free, and it taught me things, and I was on a journey, and I was learning, and I was growing, and I was trying to make the most of what this thing had happened to me, right? Okay. But like, I took it, psychosis in and of itself is an unhealthy thing. So everything I was doing was unhealthy, trying to learn, grow, and shape myself. So part of my psychosis was mixed with a spiritual journey. So it was interesting that going through losing my mind completely brought me to my faith and my belief in existence, and allowed me to shape myself from the inside out, rather than needing to rely on the outside world to shape what I was seeing, if that makes sense.
I think it does. Give me a little bit more. Talk a little bit more about it.
Well, so often we're socially conditioned to think what others think. We're taught books and history, and everybody has their opinions on how to do things right. And it's, to me, that's an outside perspective telling you how to see what the world is. But when I was chasing psychosis to find my spiritual gain, I was letting go of all of that social conditioning and finding my own freedom to be. But the problem was I was unwell. And so my definitions of right and wrong skewed me and made me act poorly in light of trying to become well. But the spiritual aspect of it, which is where the faith in things being good, everything's going to work out, that all came to me from the psychosis because it took me to wild places, and through everything worked out. So in my mind, it built this almost connection that psychosis brings more spiritual understanding. And so it almost leaves me longing for the psychosis, the freedom, and the connection to life outside the box of normalcy to find the answers of what makes sense on the inside.
Okay. Do you think that the true answers are to be found there?
I
Because the
oh,
freedom of psychosis, it detaches you from reality. And so I would guess, like, I would caution that any solutions that you would find in that state, freedom to be psychotic or in a psychosis state, um, any realizations that you would come to in that state would likely be tainted by your lack of a grip on reality.
but that's the thing. I think, and maybe that's what I've come to in my journey, is that we are all interpreting reality for ourselves. We have a generalized consensus on what reality is that we can talk about and share, but everybody has their own individual perspective on what reality is,
Okay.
even if they don't get to voice it. The psychosis puts me in touch with that personal perspective on reality, and it doesn't filter in the thoughts of others. So I'm getting pure undiluted Alma and how she sees the world. And I see the world through light's lenses. I think better can come. I believe in utopia coming from this mess of a world we're in right now. That's that's what my spiritual gain came from. I have hope and faith. A lot of people are lost in fear and darkness because they don't have that hope and they don't have that faith. And that psychosis took me out of that fear based structure that society feeds on. And it allowed me to develop my own internal structure that blossomed hope and faith, which is so much easier to carry.
So rather than factual proof of anything, you learned mindset adjustments through the psychosis, a different way of viewing the world.
I think so.
Okay.
Absolutely.
As opposed, like, I guess then what you're not advocating or what you're not wishing for is the freedom of psychosis unhinged or untethered.
Correct. I don't want to lose control of myself. I just want the freedom that comes with what I want freedom. Psychosis offers the form of freedom, but I don't want so much freedom that I would be out there a detriment to society.
Do you think that they're mutually exclusive? Is that a fire you can play with without getting burned?
That's what I wonder. I'm on the insane side of happiness, and I find myself out of this world happy despite the fact that there are so many things that people could point to about our life that should be making me unhappy, right? But I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum because I've stepped outside that box of fear and worry, and I can find the good in the moments that help me shape my world perspective that is positive. And that psychosis got me there because it took me out of the mindset that everybody else was in, and it put me in the driver's seat, which was new.
But did it though?
Well, I'm at the whim of psychosis if it comes. It's not like I'm some magician that has learned how to control it, but I know with time, patience, medication, a mental health support team, it's become a lot easier to manage when my psychosis presents itself.
Well, yeah. I would agree with that.
as evidence the lack of breakdowns that I've been having.
Correct. But you're medicated now.
Yeah, I'm medicated.
So you're not going into the full depths of psychosis that you went into before.
Right.
I guess the thing that you're longing for was really, I don't think it was as good as you remember it. Maybe. But I can't say because I wasn't there in your place. I was there in my place. And I'm here in my place now. I don't know where you're at either. But you're attributing some positives to that situation, and where you might have gotten a different perspective and everything. That was probably some of the worst times that we've had. And so it feels as though that's just a really dangerous area to want to play in, because all that freedom that you had with the psychosis, the freedom to think the things that you thought and the freedom to be the way that you were and all these things, they led to a very rough place, a place where you were obviously not at your best, and a place where it was hard for those around you to continue to manage. And so I don't know, I'm not saying that I can speak from it, from all the angles, because I've never had that psychosis. But whatever good things you took from it, they were simply byproducts of that time. They weren't good moments in my recollection of them.
No, I'm not saying it was easy. I'm not trying to paint a pretty picture of what psychosis is.
Right.
Because it was very damaging.
But you're kind of longing for that freedom again, and that's where I'm trying to wrap my head around. What about those times would you like to get back?
The creative flow of the mind. I feel stunted. I
Okay.
feel limited, and maybe that's the medication doing its job, right? But I don't feel as connected to the voice of myself as I did when I was free with psychosis.
Okay. Now, do you think, I don't know, do you think that at all could mean that who you were, when the psychosis was there isn't really you?
No, I don't think that was really me. I think that was a product of a me that was brought up in a world that couldn't nurture, or I didn't feel nurtured by, and it brought out anger and rage at being let down by the world around me. And that wasn't me. Anger and rage isn't me. It's just a temporary state of mind. But a lot of people carry their anger and rage against the world always. So for me, I was coming into that anger and rage, and it was putting me in a really dark place, mixed with the psychosis, made it really hard to be around. But that wasn't me. And that when I had that 2 or 3 month period where we barely saw each other, and I was just alone in that shack that my dad had fixed up, it came to grips with the fact that who I was, that angry, vengeful, rageful person, wasn't me. And I didn't want to be that person because it was pushing everybody away.
Right.
So it was like the slap in the face I needed to realize that I needed to change. So, and that's not easy to come to have to admit that you're the worst person in the room in any given day. That's not comforting or jolly to think about, but that's part of the journey I had to go through to get to where I am now. And that psychosis is what brought it out of me, because up to that point, I hadn't been a good friend. I hadn't been a good spouse. I don't think I had been a good person. And in some ways, yes, but by and large, I was disconnected from the fundamental values that make me me, and I wasn't living them. And when psychosis brought me into that dark space, it aligned me with my beliefs of what I need to be myself. So I wouldn't want to go through all the darkness again, but more just the freedom to express myself better.
Well, and again, I swing back to the question I had. Do you think those are mutually exclusive? Do you think you can have the psychosis and the creativity without having the dark side or the other side of that coin?
I don't know. So far, it seems like they're both closely entwined, because when you get into psychosis, that irritability, that quick trigger to get upset, that's totally there. And so my thought is, with practice and with mindfulness, you can de-escalate a situation that would make you irritable or make you want to rant and rave like a lunatic.
So through practice.
Practice.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, I mean, I can understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. But remembering from my standpoint, the family standpoint, that psychosis was a dangerous and bad area, and I don't know that I'd want you to go back and playing around in it, because I don't know either if they're mutually exclusive. If you can have the psychosis and all the positives, the creativity, the euphoria, without having the proclivity for all those negative things that we've lived through already, that I have no desire of ever living through again.
You and me both, baby.
So, yeah, I want you to be creative, and I want you to get some of that back, but I don't know that I want you to go back to psychosis. That said, you know, there are a lot of things that you can do to kind of foster and grow and cultivate creativity just as a non-bipolar person. So for your average run-of-the-mill standard, you know, Joe Schmo out there, there are ways to improve creativity. Perhaps for you, dear, that would be something to look into. Since you miss the creative flow, perhaps there are tips or practices that you could put into place that would help you find that flow again.
That would be nice. I should look into that for sure.
Well, I will come with topics for the next show, man. I got you, boo.
You're on top of this.
I'm usually on top of everything.
Yes, you are.
Maybe at one point, not now. I'm barely on top of waking up in the morning. Anyway, it doesn't matter about me. Enough about me. I am glad that we got a chance to do this recording, Alma, as we've pretty much hit the end of this one. But it's been good to be able to get this one done, because we missed our recording time last night. So good to stay on track.
I like that. I like making it up even though we didn't get to it at the right time.
That's right. We can't undo what we didn't do last night, undo the non-do, but we can do the do here in the morning.
Do the do.
And with that, that's about all I got, Alma. You got anything else for this one?
I don't. I think that's all.
I think that's a good Ownin the Evening, team.
Yes,
Another one in the can.
Yes. Way to go.
All right. So for Alma, this Owndog reminded you to make a great day, make somebody else's day great as well.
And tell somebody you love them.
Please do. It's important. Thanks for being you. Thanks for all you do. We love you. And make sure to check us out when we're back next time, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Podcasts drop at 11:30. We appreciate you. Until next time, keep owning the evening.